Mauler and myself and a few others, we've been keeping up with The Last of Us season 2, and we
Ugh.
watched. Is it episode 4? Is it episode
we-
3?
Three was the last one.
Only 3.
Oh
It
god,
feels
we're only
like
3
8
episodes
so
in.
far.
Yeah, it feels like I've been watching this for 6 months already.
I wish to make my position clear that I begged you not to. I don't want to do this, but you
We'll see how we get on after this week.
I
But
beg
my
you.
god, that was a snore fest. Like, that was a dull
was.
episode.
Whoa, I'm sorry. It sounds like you're not mature and you just don't understand the bleak complexity of the show. It's extremely deep. If you have media literacy, you would understand that it's really exploring grief and revenge and forgiveness also, and mercy. And you guys just think it's boring because you just all you want is explosions. Clearly, you guys need to mature. That's really what it is. I'm sorry.
We've been eating the bigot sandwiches, sadly.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing to me is just noting the big changes from the game and then thinking about how Neil would have suggested the same shit. And then apparently Craig was like, yeah, no, actually, for example, opening on giving Tommy a whole scene to mourn his brother. I was like, oh, wow, that's like normal. Why was that in there? Like they didn't have that in the game. Tommy didn't get his time in the game. I was just like, huh.
Well, it's Neil Druckmann's creative vision passed through the filter of like actual humans who understand human behavior, and so there's a little bit of a softening of some of this stuff. But wow, yeah, I mean, all the building blocks are still there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fixing the story. You cannot fix the.
Yeah,
you can't. It is impossible to fix this story without completely cutting Abby entirely out, or like making her a full antagonist. You can't tell it anywhere near what the game was. It's just a bad story. It's a bad foundation. You can't fix it. It's impossible.
Yeah. I really thought for a second that they wouldn't be stupid enough to go with the storyline from the second game. I'm like, you guys hired Pedro Pascal, which even though we're tired of him, people still like to see him for some reason. There's no way you hired him and then you're going to kill him off the way they did in the game. That would just be stupid, right? No one would do that. Sure enough.
Neil's ego will not allow the changes, so they will. They'll get close, but they won't make major changes. Druckmann will not.
You're resting the success of the show on Bella Ramsey. You're putting your whole show on Bella Ramsey.
I know.
You guys brought the biggest.
It's a bold choice, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Well, they didn't use the bigot sandwich line.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
that he shouldn't have even
it would be fascinating to be an fly on the wall when Neil says like, and this is where she says bigot sandwich, and then just everyone in the room's like, oh well, yeah, maybe actually we won't have that line. It's like, Neil. I don't think we have time. And he's like, it's like 2 words. And it's like, yeah, well, we don't. It's 2 words too much.
Well, it's like that, Neil, we've got this thing called subtext, Neil, that you should probably like read up on. It's really useful. It's like you can show things without actually saying explicitly what's going on.
He won't do that because he believes that he is such a genius that he thinks the audience are all rubes, and so he needs to spell it out over and over and over again because he's just that smart, and nobody would understand just how complex and amazing the story is.
On that note, what are they doing with Seth? Why did they make him? They made him like sympathetic somewhat. Remember, in the game, he's just bigot man.
Mm-hmm.
In the show, he's the one that stands up for Joel and Ellie in the meeting, and then he gives her all the weapons and resources.
Because again, I think this is what happens when you put a TV writer in charge of adapting like a fucking horrendous game and trying to like have some kind of narrative arc for these characters rather than just man that allows us to make point about fucking toxic misogyny, anti-LGBT stuff. Like, let's actually give his character a purpose in the story. Okay, this is what we're going to do with him. That's the difference.
Yeah, well, I was still baffled by it though, because it's just like, what do they want me to take from this? That like bigot man is actually kind of neat.
Well, I guess what they want is like bigot man has learned his lesson and now he's a good man.
Did he though?
No, I don't think that's.
There was no line where he said like, "I'm so sorry for calling you whatever." Like just any. He seemed to be principally invested in people should not be allowed to come here, kill one of our own, and leave. That's not allowed. Like, there's no fucking way we can. Like, and I thought the angle they were going for is that they're both lined up on this, despite the fact that they don't like each other. Hence, the handshake was kind of awkward, right? It was like, you've got my weapons, you've got some supplies. I'm letting you get out of here, but you hate me. But whatever. go
he's one of those guys where he's an asshole and everyone in the group knows he's an asshole, but he's their asshole kind of thing. I think it's one of those where he's not necessarily redeemed. He's just, look, everybody has a bad day, right? And I guess for him, he had his bad day, but at the end of the day, he's down for his group. And I think that's what they were trying to show.
I'm telling you, man, if he had gone with them, that would have made the show so much more fucking interesting. Just having his commentary whenever they say anything, he's just like heckling them.
Anything to fucking save us from the narrative desert that is Ellie and Dina. Like, watching their scenes together is just excruciating. They've got nothing interesting to say to each other. They act like they're on just like a camping trip or something. They're laughing and joking and shit. It's so out of sync with what they're actually there to do. You're going there to murder a whole bunch of people. You should not be like goofing around and joking around with each other. It's absurd.
Well, and you know it's a bunch of people because they had a big parade right at the end of the episode. So that's how you know it's a lot of people. Because if you had an army that was taking over a post-apocalyptic city, you would just sort of march down the street, all of you, just kind of stroll along in a big ass group.
Yep, sure.
No, I really do think that Seth's purpose, because you got to think ahead. Remember, Ellie, we're destroying her character as much as Joel's, because we're subverting the audience and manipulating you into thinking that Abby is actually better by comparison. So we have to make Ellie look like shit. Remember, Ellie kills dogs and Abby loves dogs, and Ellie kills pregnant people and Abby doesn't do that, right? So what I think they're doing with Seth is using him to basically be like, look, Ellie's such a piece of shit that she gets along with bigots. She's so horrible that she's what was the movie where they suggested having political ads where the KKK said they were in support of somebody. It'll come to me later, but I think that's what they're trying to do, is basically say, look at what a piece of shit she is, because even bigoted Seth and would hang out with her and support her terrible, violent ideas.
I think he's going to be a narrative link in the chain. I think that's his purpose, is that he's now a person who's back at Jackson, who knows where they're going, knows what they're planning. Tommy's going to find out from him what they're doing, and he's going to go after them. That's when he's going to get shot, and he's going to end up freaking paralyzed or whatever happens to him in the game.
Yeah.
It's just to facilitate that, ultimately. They just need someone in the town who knows what's going on and where they're heading.
Yeah, I don't know. The thought of resting your entire show on Bella Ramsey is crazy to me. I don't see it. Here's the thing. You know what's funny? I'd rather watch a show about Dina than watch Bella Ramsey. Like I don't get it.
It's a tough sell to put the show on her shoulders because, one, she's young and pretty inexperienced as an actor, and like, whatever you want to say about Pedro Pascal, he can at least carry a show like this, and I don't think she can. And yeah, too, there's, the aesthetic component of it, which makes it difficult as well. And so those things together, yeah, it's going to put a lot of people off. And I think that's been reflected in their ratings. Like, their ratings have gone down to like a 50% audience score now.
Wow, that is bad. That is
the number of the ratings is dropping.
And it's not going to get better. Like, one, they're pissed off that they killed off Joel because like whoever wasn't following the games didn't know that was going to happen. Now they're angry. And two, they're just going to get gradually turned off by these really fucking unlikable actors and characters on screen. It's a deadly
because I mean, from episode 1 of this season, they've kind of set Ellie up to be kind of a bitch, right? Like she was giving Joel a hard time, wouldn't talk with him, like being a total bitch. And now, like that the audience doesn't like her. Now you're going to rest the show on her shoulders.
Well, I mean, you can directly relate this to the game. It was either you play as Abby, which was a fucking nightmare, or play as Ellie, but she's not Ellie. She's asshole Ellie who constantly is miserable, complains, and doesn't have anything interesting to say. Sometimes has Dina to talk to, which their conversations were like fucking drills into the skull. Like it's like, yeah, we're adapting that. And you're like,
yeah,
why?
Well, Dina had no character. She was just there so Ellie had something to talk to other than just spout her ideas and exposit into the air. And yeah, they're making her act horrible. Like, I have teenagers. I have multiple teenagers. I have worked with a bunch of teenagers. I have never met a teenager in real life that acts like this, that is 100% a gigantic, sarcastic asshole all the time. But this is like a TV teenager cranked up to 11. It's the stupidest stereotype.
Yeah.
Well, and especially for a teenager who, you know, is living in the apocalypse, right? Because you kind of have to grow up fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for her to be that age and act like that is kind of like, come on.
Yeah, they'd be a lot more practical, I think, and pragmatic in their outlook, and they would have less time for like that kind of sarcastic, snarky bullshit that we do today, because we live in a pretty easy world right now.
But that was always an issue with the game. They had essentially modern people and modern reality put into this post-apocalyptic universe, and nothing changed. So, like, the whole bigot thing, it would have been quite interesting to see, well, you have to repopulate the Earth. We need people to breed. There would be some kind of stigma around not having kids, for instance. And so you could understand that people take sides, and you do a Star Trek thing. You have people on either side, and you investigate the idea. Whereas instead, they're like, no, we need you to know that this is the correct thing, and he's the bad person. And it just strips it of any depth.
This was a big hit for HBO, man. I mean, this was like one of their like star shows. So if it's doing 50% less, that's pretty bad.
The thing is, I don't know what the ratings are shaping up like. I know that the audience scores are down to like 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. So like that's reflecting of the anger that people feel towards it. I don't know what the viewership figures are like. I know like when it premiered for season 2, it was doing better than season 1 did. So like more people were hyped to watch it.
I suppose they'll tell us if it does better, won't they? They'll be silent if it does worse.
Yeah, because presumably they will have to reveal their viewing figures, right? Because this will be Nielsen rated if it's HBO.
Well, I expected the show after Joel dies to be kind of highly watched, just because they want to see how they handle him, you know, and her dealing with his death. I think after this episode that just passed, there's going to be a major fall off.
Yeah.
Like them going into that city, I think that's where the audience is going to drop off.
Yeah. I think particularly because the episode after his death was a really slow, boring slog of an episode as well. So that's not exactly going to grab people's attention either. So that is a pretty bad combination there. And yeah, man, I don't see how it picks up after this. If they follow the games, which they almost certainly will, it's just going to be more misery, more people dying, more horrible people doing horrible things. I don't know what people are going to latch onto as an audience.
But this isn't like Game of Thrones, man. This is, you know, Game of Thrones had at least several books, and those books were pretty massive, right? You have 2 games, and if you're already following the second game, and I doubt HBO is going to look at this and be like, oh, we're only doing 2 seasons of The Last of Us, right? What do you do for your 3rd season then? Like, why would you take out Joel at the beginning of your 2nd season, knowing that you plan on doing a 3rd season of this show?
Yeah. Neil's ego. I mean, I genuinely believe that he refused to change. He really thought that his story was great, and his shock tactic, kill Joel at the beginning, was super smart and subversive and clever, and he doesn't want it. I really do believe that. I've seen a lot
but why not save that for the finale of the 2nd season, right?
And I think that would have kept people hanging on at least, because they are going to do at least 2 seasons for this game, maybe a 3rd season. But I really think that he refused to admit that the kill Joel right away to shock the audience was a stupid ass, shallow move that only had shock value to sell it. He won't admit that.
Another thing, you could have had a season that we open with Abby and we have a whole story with her, and they're never specific about who she's going after, but she has like a vendetta against some guy. We got a very weak description, not even a name, so that the audience for the TV show can at least be like, okay, new character, new group of people, see if I can get invested in this. And then, you know, nearing the 3rd act, it's revealed who she's after is Joel, and it's like, oh shit, how's this going to turn out? And you don't have to follow just how awful they did it in the game. You can do it different, because in concept, like a person who you're trying to kill saves your life. It's like, oh yeah, that's interesting, we can do something with that. They managed to make that completely uninteresting. He does that, he points it out to her, and she's just like,
I always said, like, with the game, if I was to rewrite it, I would have had like Abby and Ellie team up, like, so Ellie doesn't necessarily know what Abby's there for. Like, they have to survive together, they come to know each other, they form a bond, they become friends, and then Abby encounters Joel, and that's when she realizes, oh shit, this person is like, his surrogate daughter, but I'm here to kill him because I've devoted like all this time to finding him. And then she kills him, and that gives the audience a real dilemma. morally of like, oh shit, this character that I've spent hours and hours getting to know and really empathize with, she's a fucking psychopathic killer, but I also know eventually why she did it. Okay, you've got something then. There's some kind of justification for it instead of just, shows up, kills him, and then we're supposed to empathize with her later. It's not going to happen.